Wow, wow, wow. Did you see the first race in the America's Cup yesterday, or the first four races, I should say? Just wow. I mean, my compliments to the race organization for the production of this amazing race and how they, shot the video during the races and really got us very, very close to the boats. The one regret I have that we never really get to hear the sound of the boat actually sailing on board. Again, I personally really enjoy to hear the real sounds coming from the boat, the real experience from the boat. Haven't found a single good video really showing that, so we can really hear what it sounds like on board when it's ripping at 43 knots or so. If any of you have a video or found a video somewhere, please send me the link to it. But overall, just amazing race, and really cool to finally have just a dozen cameras aimed at these amazing AC75s as they made their way across the course. And yeah, I guess interesting that I did my my deep dive yesterday. Thanks everybody for watching. Really nice. And right away, that night, we got to see the boats in action, and we got to, compare, look at some of the things that I talked about, details about the boat. And I found it very interesting to watch how they were racing these boats. Now, obviously, some issues on board of Luna Rossa and on Britannia, and more or less flawless first race for Team New Zealand, but then in the second race they also maybe had some small mechanical issues at the start, or maybe just took a little bit too much risk around the start, and unfortunately stopped foiling, and gave the Team US American Magic a good head start. But man, American Magic, both races, for my mind, really dominated hard last night. Like, I have to give him kudos for it. New boat, new race, and compared to what we saw with all the other teams, except of course the defenders, Team New Zealand, in their first race, but really the only team that seemed rock solid in control of this new AC75 all throughout the race. Every jibe, every tack, every turn just seemed very controlled, and also how they flew the boat. And apparently that's something that we really learned yesterday, is that the trick is to fly these boats as low to the water as possible. So interesting feature of that skag that I also talked about yesterday, that it helps to keep the low pressure, of course, on one side of the boat, and so they're more or less have the sail that goes right onto the deck and closes that off completely, and then underneath the boat they have that skag to keep it closed also onto the water. And so in actuality they don't want to fly high above the water, but they really want to be just above the water, so free from friction but keeping the maximum pressure on the boat. And it was interesting to see the race yesterday and to really see this in action, and seeing the boats that were flying really controlled and really low to the water, getting to these top speeds of sometimes I think I saw 43 knots at some point, both Team New Zealand and American Magic. So flabbergasting spectacle really, and I can't wait for the next races today. My money now, always good to make a prediction, right? So I think that Team New Zealand looked really strong in that first race, but personally right now I'm rooting a little bit for Team America, and I think that I'll probably do that throughout the America's Cup actually, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because I personally like an underdog, and if America was holding the cup and the New Zealanders were trying to get it, I'd probably be rooting for them right now. But just on principle, I'm going to be supportive of the team that is a little bit set back. And in this case, I think that Team America did really well yesterday. So for now, I'm hopping on the American Magic wagon and seeing how they will do throughout this Christmas event. And I'm really, really looking forward to tomorrow how they will do in the race. Also very interesting, a little bit the teasing, especially in that last very close race where we saw Team New Zealand recover and almost overtake Team America right before the finish.
They got the inside overlap and they're not going to, they have no reason to bear off until they want to. Wow, one bad tack by the Americans.
Emirates Team New Zealand take the lead in both protests.
And I have to say, that also felt to me a little bit like maybe the Americans had a really great strategy there in luring out the real power of Te Rahote, the New Zealand boat, in kind of drawing them out to show what they can really do and how much power they really have in that boat. So not letting up, really pacing the New Zealanders tack for tack, and especially when they had that big lead, maybe giving an opportunity also to New Zealand to let them catch up a little bit so that they would push the boat forwards to that maximum speed. Now, of course, as we say in Dutch, this is all, watching the coffee. That's a real Dutch expression. And it means, no one really knows what they did and why they did. But I still think it's pretty interesting. So before we move on to the next topic, let's actually get to the toast. I almost forgot, just so fired up about all this America's Cup stuff. So here we go. Some slow coffee today. I'm really looking forward to this actually. Here we go. Are you ready? 3, 2, 1. Ooh, that's one to savor. That is really good. Hey, how was that view of the America yesterday during the toast? A lot of good comments for Troy. So Troy, if you're watching this, thanks again. Really great to have you on the show. So many enthusiastic messages from everybody, from seeing your beautiful boat and having you explain the history and showing the models of the America's Cup boat. Just epic contribution, man. So again, really appreciate it. Then for the state of the Vendee today, I'm sure you... Now I know what you're all thinking about, of course. They came out yesterday with the time allowances based on the rescue mission for Kevin Escoffier. So both Jean Le Cam, Boris Herman, of course, and Yannick Besthaven have received their bonus time, which they will get when they cross the finish. And the allowances are as follows. Regarding the time spent rescuing Kevin Escoffier on PRB and after evaluating the impact on his race, the Vendee Globe International jury awarded Jean Le Cam 16 hours and 15 minutes of compensation, and this compensation will be applied to him when crossing the finish line. Same exact story for Yannick Besthaven, but he is awarded 10 hours and 15 minutes, and Boris Herman also same thing, but awarded 6 hours. And yeah, that's to my mind seems very fair. It must have been a real tricky decision, because you have to imagine as a group to make for a time allowance. It's not just how much time did you spend on the rescue. They did keep sailing after. In reality, of course, Jean had a second mate on board, which maybe has helped him during the time that he was on board. Then is there maybe weather windows that they got thanks to the fact that they could wait a little bit, or are there weather windows that they really missed because of that? Looking at their current positions in the race, it's a tough decision. But I have to say, when I read this, I feel that it's a very fair decision. So I don't really have much complaints about that at all. And I'm curious to see what you guys think. So let me know either in the chat or in the comments below what you think. If you think this is fair, I'd be interested to see what your opinion is. But the trick, of course, is in the fact that this is going to be applied when they finish. And so in that sense, there's no real way to see yet how this is going to impact really the final race. I got several emails of people saying, oh yeah, well, this means that Jean Le Cam is really leading the race right now. And yeah, you know, of course it depends on how you look at it. Probably Yannick Besthaven is actually, you know, leading the race right now if you really look at it. But with a sailing race, I think we've all seen how varied the weather can be, and how, you know, if you hit a foil or if you just miss the right weather system, that can easily cost you 10 hours, right? So in essence, getting a 16-hour bonus, or getting a 10-hour bonus, or getting a 6-hour bonus, that is really the equivalent of the storm that you hit, you know, of the small lull that you have, you know, at the speeds that they're going with. It basically means, you know, like it's really not that big of an allowance. Even the allowance for Jean Le Cam, 16 hours, it seems like a lot, but at this speed and this enormous distance, it's you know, a drop on a hot plate. So there's no way of telling what else will happen. It does influence the standing in the current race a little bit, but we don't see that reflected in the numbers, because it's really only applied when they finish. And yeah, so it's just good to keep in the back of our minds. But other than that, you know, the race is still so long. They're not even halfway to the race course. We're getting there, but they're not there yet. So we'll just have to wait and see. But it's good to know, and to me it feels pretty fair. Now let's take a look at the weather and see what's up for the next few days. And when we look at the field, we see, of course, Kevin right now, over Yannick Besthaven, sorry, in the lead, all up in front here. And actually interesting to see that, yeah, the weather looks really good for the men in the lead. And what I really noticed in the back here, that especially for Boris here, and kind of for the rest of this group with Benjamin Dutroux, and he has I guess there's Damien Seguin there. There's Jean Le Cam is in that group, and you have this kind of ridge here, which is going to be following them around more or less. So as you can see, especially with Boris here, he'll be like heading up to it, but that ridge keeps kind of moving with them. So not exactly sure what that means. It seems like it's a high pressure ridge, and it's either going to stay, like it's like a game of catch, like every time they're about to catch up with it, it moves further to the east, and it should, you know, keep actually both Boris and Jean Le Cam right in that, right between sort of two high pressure ridges, but kind of in the wind that is moving between those two ridges. So it will be really interesting to see, looking at Boris's dashboard, how he keeps doing, and whether he manages to stay right in that ridge and actually keep moving at a nice speed, or what will happen there. So that'll be interesting to follow. Then for the rest of the front, we see, let's move through here again, that yeah, we have this kind of high pressures that are again forming kind of over and in front of the fleet. So we have this kind of patchy high pressure zones. And as we see both Apivia, Yannick Besthaven and Charlie Dallin move on, we see this high pressure more or less move right in front of them. And yeah, that's of course very interesting. So we see basically tomorrow they'll be sailing straight into that, literally. And that actually means that we might see that this kind of split that we had, where we have the three leaders really kind of run away with it a little bit, that actually we might see that the boats that got behind a little bit again will actually, who got behind basically because of the weather, because they missed that window, that now they might actually have a chance to catch up a little bit again, as the leaders might get stuck in this high pressure for probably half or maybe the entire Friday. So, you know, we'll have to see how it actually turns out. but interesting to see that where they really had the weather with them before, now it seems that it's handicapping them a little bit. Then let's take a look at our Maltripon's position. Speed not really great over the last 4 hours or so, last 24 hours also not great, 10 knots. And yeah, just not having so much wind right now. Although I have to say, for the wind that he should be having right now, he seems rather slow. So maybe there's something going on. I haven't read anything, but he seems slower than he maybe should be. So don't know if something's going on there. Both Roman and Clarice doing really good. Nice speeds. They are doing the type of speeds that I would expect L'Occitane to do something like that also. 14, maybe 15 knots, since he was constantly outpacing everybody. But seems that he's a bit slow right now. Then if we move back a little bit, we have Alan Rora still, sailing very much, isolated. Poor Alan. If you have a moment, go to his YouTube channel, put some support on there, because he's just had it so tough. But he is in good wind now, and yeah, making not a ton of speed. It's kind of interesting, because he should be having, let's see, yeah, he should be having 18 knots or so right now, and still we're seeing 8, 9 knots, 11 average. You'd think that they'd be able to go quite a bit faster, since he's also nicely downwind sailing. Might have to angle a little bit more to the south than he would want to get more speed, but seems slow to my eye. And then we have the group here with Arnaud Bourgeres, and of course with Pip Hare here, all in a bit stronger winds with good speeds for that. Last 24 hours, 15 knots for Pip, more or less the same for Didac Costa. It seems that Didac is almost going to overtake Pip again, so the battle between those two still raging on over there in the Southern Ocean. Very, very nice to see. And behind there we see that Chirel made his way through that little bit of a low wind zone, so he was kind of almost dead in the water for about 18 hours or so, going really, really slow. But it seems that over the last 24 hours he's really picked up the pace again. Very nice, 18.3 knots, going about 18 now, and well ahead now of Mr. Shirashi and the rest of the kind of the aft part of the fleet that he passed about 2 days ago. And yeah, I think it also looks good for him wind-wise. Let's look at the prediction for a second, see how this will move. Yeah, so that high that is kind of could get in his way is nicely staying below him, and so it looks like he'll be able to make a nice straight line exactly where he wants to go. Not opting to go more to the south here, but just a nice straight line, right over this high pressure, or kind of moving with this high pressure, more or less the same speed, having a really nice wind angle. So he's already really fast, and he's probably going to stay fast. And now the question, of course, is how long is it going to take Jeremy to actually get to the positions of Michael Cossin and Pip Hare and of course Didac Costa there. What do you guys think? Put in the comments. What do you think will be, how long will it take him to get there? Maybe 5 more days? What do you guys think? But that is pretty much the field as it is standing today. And also, of course, last night there was a bit of a scare on board of Thomas Rouillan's Linked Out, as he reported water coming in the bow. But apparently, and I have to say fortunately, that turned out to be an issue with one of his hatches that had gone open, which obviously let in the water. So false alarm there, and it seems that he's well on his way again. So good news in that day. So yeah, thank you all for watching again. Looking forward to the races in the America's Cup tonight. So I'll do an update on that also tomorrow. And with that, I say please make sure to like and subscribe if you want to know more, or get some cool Seawolves goodies, or help the channel in some way with a great idea, or you have something cool to offer, or if you have a great connection, go to seawolvestv.com, and many different ways to get in touch or get involved. So thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow with a delicious cup of coffee.